You open everything. He's back.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
glad y'all are back. Are you still there?
Where did you go? You ran away from us.
My battery died. Okay.
That was quick getting it back up then.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. Let's go back to the documents. All right. Does everybody see the documents? I just forgot to plug in my charger when I got here this morning. Oh, no, I did have it plugged in, but I had to unplug it and go to the copier. I take the laptop to the copier to copy all your work. Just keep from walking back and forth. Do y'all see the documents list?
No. I can't see it.
I don't see it.
All right, let me start over. All right, let me go back to y'all. Okay. Let me expand my view. Let me go back to share screen. Share. Do y'all see the documents?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
great. No? Who sees them? Who does not see them?
I see them. I'm with you. I can see them.
Sam?
I keep forgetting I'm muted. Yes, I can see him.
Okay. There's basically 3 documents that you guys are going to be working with these weeks as we prep. There's a concept outline, there's the Euro unit guide, and there's the study questions. Y'all were talking about reducing the study questions a minute ago. Remember, the study questions is a scanned document. All of them will be scanned. They will look like this. They're not perfect. They're just scanned in. Make sense? All right. Going back to documents, what I'm looking at right now, the first one is the concept outline. And the assignment was to read concept 1.1. This is period 1450 to 1648. And when it goes to 2.1, then we'll be in period 2, 1648 to 1815. So there are 5 key concepts for period 1. And your assignment for the first week was to read these. Here's what Emmy turned in. Your assignment's to read it and then to submit 2 words that you encountered that are new to you. Mannerism. She said this style originated as a reaction to the harmonious classicism and the idealized naturalism of high Renaissance art as practiced by Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael in the first 2 decades of the 16th century, 1500s. In the portrayal of the human nude, the standards of formal complexity had been set by Michelangelo and the norm of idealized beauty by Raphael. But in the work of these 2 artists, Mannerist successors had an obsession with style and technique and figural composition, often that outweighed the importance and meaning of the subject matter. Okay, so the other term that she was not that familiar with was humoral. Y'all remember the humors of the body? These are caused by or attributed to a disordered state of body fluids or formerly the bodily humors. So, you know, they would leech people. They would put leeches on them to take blood out. They believed that maybe a person had too much blood that was making them sick. There was also bile. They would cause people to vomit up their bile, which is gross. Think about it.
Mr. Cook,
Go ahead.
you got me in trouble for knowing that because I went to this, I don't remember where I was, but I was in some old colonial town and we went into a doctor's shop and they were giving a tour and they were talking about medicine. And I asked, when did this office open? And they told me whatever year, and it was significantly after the 4 humors had been disproven. And they were talking about the humors, and I was like, that doesn't line up. And yeah, they were not happy with me.
Exposed.
Good for you, Sam. Good for you. Hey, that's awesome. I'm proud of you. The second part of the assignment was to list 2 new facts or ideas that are new to you or enlightening or interesting that help you understand the subject matter better. Emmy said, I didn't realize that the development of vernacular literature was the start of national culture. And I'm glad she realized that. To be German, you know, you want to read in German. You want signs posted in German. You want things printed not in Latin, but in German. It created a national culture of German. Later, the Germans would want, you know, Schumann and others to make operas that were performed in German. I don't know how much German you guys know, but some of their words are like 17 syllables, 18. It's just crazy. But yeah, the vernacular language helped lead to a national culture and understanding, common understanding that had not been reached thus far. Second, she said, it is interesting that monarchs turn to artwork as a way to display their power, okay? Don't we kind of do that today? Some families build these mini mansions. You know, you go up to Buckhead and see some of the old mini mansions of Atlanta. Go out to Alpharetta. What is that new mall at Alpharetta? Oh, I can't think of it. Not North Point, the other one. It won't come to me. Anyway, these huge McMansions that are out there, they're showing their wealth and power. You know, and wealthy families give money philanthropically to museums and to libraries and to colleges. And my friend Grace Hightower gave over $1 million to in her lifetime to Wesleyan College, where she went to college in Macon, the country's oldest female college, by the way. All right, and then last, in this assignment, you're supposed to compose a question or two for the class to discuss. Amy submitted, why wouldn't many people welcome new ideas about science if it could help them? So let's discuss that real quick. What's your ideas? Why wouldn't people welcome new ideas about science if it would help them? We see this.
Religion.
Say again, Chaz?
Religion.
Yeah. Questioning God? How dare you question God? And the Bible says this, the Bible says that. Don't question it. All right. What else would be a reason why people would not welcome new ideas about science?
It's hard
Skeptical.
to rationalize.
Go ahead, Sam.
It's hard to rationalize concepts that you can't physically see, like gravity or evolution. You don't get to see it yourself, so it's hard to comprehend.
Exactly. And many of these artists, you know, it's kind of macabre what they were doing. Like Da Vinci and others would get corpses and cut them open and do all these intricate drawings of the interior workings of the body and the organs and all that stuff. There was a real quest for knowledge, but there was a lot of people that considered all this voodoo or magic or you know, mumbo jumbo that didn't apply to their lives. Now, let's bring it to 2020, talking about the virus, talking about coronavirus. Any people denying science right now?
If they are, they're freaking stupid. Jesus Christ.
Your president, Chaz, that you plan to vote for, who I plan to cancel your vote with Biden, is suggesting that we reopen the economy fairly soon. He wants to see the peak Easter, and then he wants to have a grand opening of the economy. For saying that's too fast, that's too quick, let's wait and see, let the data drive us, not your political ambitions drive us. Trump is dying for things to get back to normal so he can continue his rallies and his campaign, right?
But at what point do you have to force things to get back to normal?
We may have
There's no point in waiting around. It's going to be inevitable anyway.
But what if a state hasn't peaked yet? What if Georgia hasn't peaked yet? And the economy's rocking and rolling, and now we see our numbers rise like crazy and our deaths rise.
I don't think you should throw everybody back into society, but the people who are strong enough to, you know, those
I think that what he said was a bit of an overreaction, but I do think that you have to have something positive to counter all of the negative news that's coming out.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. Social distancing,
Way to put it.
it seems to be flattening the curve. The growth in cases, the number of deaths we should see. Oh, by the way, disease epidemiologists have discovered the original cases that they can find in New York came from Europe, which means probably where the infection came from Europe. But prior to that, the European, whoever brought it, probably got it from China, Wuhan, China. You know, with disease epidemiology in terms of AIDS, HIV, they tracked it down to a flight attendant that was flying in and out of Africa to Europe and to the Americas. Tracked it down to a person that had unprotected sex frequently during those days. But then they also found that original HIV viruses could be found in California way back earlier in the century. This is all very interesting. But back to Emmy's question, why wouldn't many people welcome new ideas about science? Science was emerging as a field of in different fields of study. It's not been a big part of university education yet, but it would be added. It would be slowly added during period 1. And by period 2, it's rocking and rolling. So other thoughts, other questions about this assignment?
It threatens some people's lifestyle. Like people work in fields that science is now saying, hey, that's like a pseudoscience, that's not actually a thing.
Yes.
So some people were actively against it because like you had mystics or like fortune tellers who science was starting to say, hey, I'm not so sure if that's something you should spend your money on.
Agreed. Okay. So any other questions about how do we do this assignment? For next week, we're going to do 1.2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. But I'm reducing the requirements. So let's go look at the requirement for that. Let's go back to documents. Let me move you guys back over here. Let's go to our lesson plans. And let's look at the lesson plans for next week. Are y'all seeing my lesson plans?
Yeah.
Screen. All right. And I think
Yes.
all right. I think I put it, all right, let's just look at each day. For Monday, we're going to read 1.9 through 2.2 in the unit guide. Okay. Question 1 is explain planter society and what led to the need for more slaves. So as you read 1.9, it should become clear to you what planter society was. What do you guys think led to the need for more slaves?
Expanded industry.
Yeah, not so much industry yet in a planter society.
Not industry, but agricultural industry.
Agriculture, farming, yeah. Why didn't they just hire the Native Americans?
They were all
dying
dead.
of disease.
They died, 95% died. So we had to bring in new labor, okay? So you get it. Enclosure movement, your 1.10 is not gonna define enclosure movement. Have your trustee's cell phone handy and just look up enclosure movement Europe, and you'll get a paragraph on Wikipedia or wherever, and you can write a quick definition. Who knows in our class right now, what was the enclosure movement?
It was in
When they
England
started
when they
building
started
fences.
putting up fences, right?
Yeah, they started fencing in farmlands and cattle grazing lands. And no more was there the common field or the common grazing land that everyone in the community could share.
I
Okay?
just don't understand why they weren't doing that in the first place. I just don't get that. Like,
I know. On Tuesday, let's look at what we're going to do. On Tuesday, we're going to open the study questions document. This is the one where you reduce themes 2, 3, and 4 down to your formula. 2 summary words for the question and 2 summary words for the hint. So we'll go to that next and look at that in a minute. And then here's the concept outline we were just looking at. Read all of key concepts 1.3 through 1.5 carefully. We're going to do 1.2 together in just a minute. And as you read, answer the following for each section. List 1 or 2 new terms. I can get by with just doing 1. But if you have 2, that's fine. Terms or IDs you encounter and their definition or meaning. Second, list 1 or 2. Before we had to do 2 new facts. 1 or 2 new facts or ideas that are new to you. And we're supposed to do this for each section. So section 1.3, have a word, a question. Compose a question for us to discuss in class if you have one. Okay. 1.4 do the same thing. 1.5 do the same thing. We're going to do 1.2 together in just a moment. We skipped it. We did 1.1 this past week. We're going to do 1.3 through 1.5. So let's go to Wednesday, and it's catch-up day. Complete assignments. No new assignments. This is a good day to watch and take notes on a CC video of your choice. Jimmy, how'd you like the CC video on Dutch Masters? And wasn't that what you watched?
It was over the Dutch Golden Age. I didn't really know much about it, so I just thought I would watch it.
That was an excellent choice because I have a suspicion that some art in one of your 5 documents that you can do your DBQ for your test, having a general knowledge of all these 5 or 6 different periods, art periods that we've studied about this year would be good. And Emmy submitted notes. Thanks for that. She'll get extra credit for that. On Thursday, our last day of assignments, here's some more questions, 2-3 through 2-8. Who are the Huguenots? Who can tell me who the Huguenots were?
They were the Protestants of France.
Yes, French Protestants.
Did I
Okay.
hear something?
What was the Edict of Nantes?
It gave them like rights to like basically stay in the country, as well as some leadership positions in like localities and in the parliament.
You got it. It actually turned over the leadership of several cities, quite a few cities
Yeah.
were Huguenots. Okay. It was an appeasement. It was an appeasement by the French monarchy to Protestantism to take its hold in.
It ended religious warfare.
Yes. So simple questions here. And then it says open the study questions document. That's the one we reduced to the 2 summary words for the question and the 2 summary words for the hint. And this time we're going to reduce the questions and themes 5 and 6. Now, wait a minute. Didn't we just have this back over here somewhere? It's not there. Maybe it was back over here. Where was this that we were doing that? Oh, here it is. Okay. We were going to do for themes 2, 3, and 4 on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we're going to do themes 5 and 6. Make sense? No harm
Makes
on
sense.
Friday. Please submit all work by 9 p.m. in one Word document. Have a great weekend. So you procrastinators out there who have a big P that is tattooed on your chest, you know who you are. You know, like Superman rips open his shirt and there's the S for Superman. Not a tattoo, but his uniform. Those procrastinators out there, thank y'all for submitting some work after my email yesterday that included parents. I don't like to play the heavy. I don't like to be the bad guy, but we got to stay on this, guys. We've got to focus. You know, each of our Zoom classes is replacing your normal 3 out of 4 of your normal day-to-day classes if we were in regular session, but all of you guys are expected to put 30, 40 minutes, you know, a night into your regular classes during regular school time. But this is a little lighter, I think. I'm hoping this is a little lighter than what you were accustomed to back when we were in face-to-face school. Any questions or comments so far?
No, sir.
I know I talked really fast and I may lose some guys. All right, so let's do, I said we were going to do 1.2 in class, okay? So bear with me. Please put away cell phones or other devices or earphones out of your ears. Colin, are you listening to me on the earphones or are you?
Yeah, I listened to you on the earphones.
Excellent,
That's
thank
what happened,
you.
man.
Okay. Religious pluralism. Ooh. Recognizing they're Jewish, people of Jewish faith, the people of Muslim faith. They're Baptists, they're Anabaptists. There are Protestants, there are Lutherans, there are Presbyterians, there are Church of England folks. All this religious pluralism challenged the concept of a unified Europe. Now, as I'm reading, see if you encounter a couple of words you could write down definitions for that are new to you. If there are none, just say none. Okay, we're not writing this down. Just think as we go. And then see if there's any questions that pop in your head or any main ideas that make you understand this concept a little better than maybe you did before. Remember, we're marching toward unification and nationalism as Europe is progressing through this first period. The Protestant and Catholic Reformations fundamentally changed theology, religious institutions, culture, and attitudes toward wealth and prosperity. Guess what, guys? That right there is an answer to one of your questions in your homework. Christian humanism, embodied in the writings of Erasmus, we've been talking about him a lot. He's the Christian humanist, employed Renaissance learning in the service of religious reform. Reformers Martin Luther and John Calvin criticized Catholic abuses and established new interpretations of Christian doctrine and practice. Responses to Luther and Calvin included religious radicals, such as the Anabaptists, and other groups, such as German peasants. Does anybody know what those Anabaptists were all about?
Rebaptism as they're older.
Yes, that the one you had as an infant didn't count. They had the age of accountability. Okay, modern day Baptists kind of believe this. You might have a baby dedication in the Baptist church. I was raised Baptist. I was never baptized in the Baptist church as an infant. I waited till I was like 10 years old, and I understood what it meant to become a Christian, and I was baptized. In the Methodist church, we do confirmation, where we teach you and explain to you the faith, and do you believe all this? And if you say, yes, I do, then it's time for you to be confirmed. Some Protestant groups sanctioned the notion that wealth accumulation was a sign of God's favor, reward for hard work. Okay? The religion of it's kind of a capitalistic view of religion. And there's some modern day preachers today. There's a very popular African-American preacher in Atlanta. His name escapes me. Dollar. How could I forget Creflo Dollar? Y'all ever heard of Creflo Dollar?
No.
Anybody heard of him? He's a black preacher in Atlanta, and he preaches this idea of God's blessings and wealth accumulation is part of religion and part of something to expect as a Christian. The Catholic Reformation, exemplified by the Jesuit order and the Council of Trent, revived the church, but cemented the division within Christianity. Religious reform both increased state control of religious institutions and provided justifications for challenging state authority. Monarchs and princes, such as English rulers Henry VIII and Elizabeth I, initiated religious reform from the top down in an effort to exercise greater control over religious life and morality. Some Protestants, including Calvin and the Anabaptists, refused to recognize the subordination of the church to the secular state. They wanted the church and state to be united and not separated. Religious conflicts became a basis for challenging the monarch's control of religious institutions. Third, conflicts among religious groups overlapped with political and economic competition within and among states. Guess what, guys? That's an answer to one of your questions in your homework for the next week. Conflict among religious groups overlapped with political and economic competition within and among states. Okay? Issues of religious reform exacerbated, made worse, conflicts between the monarchy and the nobility, as in the French Wars of Religion. Habsburg rulers, you remember the Henrys? Henry I, Henry II, Henry III, y'all remember them? Those were involved in those French Wars of Religion. Habsburg rulers confronted an expanded Ottoman Empire while attempting unsuccessfully to restore Catholic unity across Europe. Remember Charles V being very Catholic? States exploited religious conflicts to promote political and economic interests. And a few states, such as France with the Edict of Nantes, allowed religious pluralism in order to maintain domestic peace. It was an appeasement act on the part of the French monarch. Now, we just did concept 1.2. Did anybody encounter terms they want to know more about? Anybody see anything in here you're not sure of?
I mean, I think I want to like refresh on all the different like divisions of Protestantism.
Good idea. Calvinism,
Yeah.
Calvin was very
Anabaptists.
The Anabaptists were the ones who wanted to rebaptize you as an adult, that the baptism you received at birth as an infant, like you do in the Catholic Church, Methodist Church, Episcopal Church, they said it didn't count. They wanted to rebaptize you as an adult. Anything else? Anybody pick out anything else? It could be a simple vocabulary term like exacerbated. That word means made worse. conflicts were made worse. Religious reform made the conflicts worse. Any people you see in here that you want to know more about? The Jesuits. What's up with the Jesuits?
The Jesuits were like they were like a different form of Catholicism, weren't they?
They were like extremist missionaries.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. If you had to say who's the most Catholic, it was the Jesuits. And they did a lot of missionary work, particularly in Asia. Okay? Anything?
Didn't the Japanese the Chinese what was one of the two hated them?
Yeah, they got them out of there. They put up with them
Yeah.
for a while, and then they got to being too much proselytizing, pushing their faith a little too hard, and they wanted them out of there. Anything else stick out? Religious pluralism, that whole concept, if you don't know what that means, that's religions kind of living in harmony within a nation. Like in our country, Protestants, Catholics get along, Jews, Catholics, Protestants get along. We see less religious pluralism in terms of Muslim Americans, but I think maybe with some improvement in that area. So for homework, I'm asking you to take 1-3 and 1-4 and 1-5 and read through these and just pick out 1 or 2 terms for each, 1 or 2 statements or ideas for each. And if any questions arise from reading that, just write it down and we'll discuss it in class. We good so far on that?
Yes, sir.
Is that homework for this week or next week?
Next week. So
Okay.
let's look at lesson plans for next week. Okay. So basically, Monday is just your unit guide. Those are simple. Who are the nobles of the road, for example? 2 competing forces that shape the everyday lives of most Europeans. Hint, the new economy versus the old. Just straightforward. On Tuesday, it's 2 pieces. I want you to reduce questions in terms 2, 3, and 4 to our formula. We'll do one of those in a minute. Then the concept outline we've just been looking at, 1-3 through 1-5. Wednesday's a free day unless you want to do a video of your choice. The next day, Thursday, we got some unit guide questions and we got the study questions document for themes 5 and 6. And Friday's the day to just wrap it all up and get it sent in. So let's go back to our documents. And let me move this out of my way. Let's go back to our class. And let's go back to our documents. And let's look at these questions that we were referring to just a moment ago. And those are the ones that are scanned in. And that's this last document here. And I was asking you to do 2, 3, and 4 next week on, I think it's Tuesday, and then on Thursday, ask you to do 5 and 6. So let's do 1 as an example. Hey, Drew, you there?
Yes, sir.
Drew Collins, okay? Help
Yes, sir.
me with this one. Help me. How did the new wealth generated by new trading and manufacturing impact Europe's consumer economy? To answer that, and if you look on screen, the hint, the rise of mercantilism and the commercialization of agriculture and early capitalism is how the new wealth generated by new trading and manufacturing impacted Europe's consumer economy. So how can we?
Right. If more people have more money, they're going to spend it more. So there's going to be more consumers.
You got it. And they wanted more of those luxury goods coming from around the world, right? So let's reduce the question to a couple of words. How did the new wealth generated by new trading and manufacturing impact Europe's consumer economy? So how can we put that into a couple of words, what we're asking? Maybe 3 words.
Let's see.
Could we say new wealth / consumer economy, and then colon, and what's the answer to that?
Just more capital.
Capitalism, you could do a little up arrow, capitalism's increasing, and / commercialization of agriculture.
Yes, sir.
You do that? Does that, and put it in a nutshell what that question's about? So
Yes, sir.
remember, prior to the Industrial Revolution was the Agricultural Revolution. It's the second agricultural revolution. The first one goes way back 10,000 years when communities started developing and people became farmers and they were feeding the city with their farming and they domesticated animals and all that good stuff. The second one was this enclosure movement, more people, new methods of better fertilizer, better tools, better farming, basically. So that's what we're talking about, the commercialization of agriculture. And then early capitalism, banks were growing, investment was growing, there was more wealth being generated through agriculture and other early industries like weaving and other industries. And then this whole era of exploration is going to come in, and all these new luxury goods like tobacco is going to come on the scene. Potatoes are really going to save the day because a lot of people that didn't have adequate food could now, you could technically live off potatoes and bread, you know, if you had to. I wouldn't want to, but we could. All right, let's do another one. Colin, number 2. You with me, Colin?
Yes, sir.
How did New Wealth create a commercial society? And the hint for the answer is new economic ideas with free trade and a free market. Okay?
So like consumerism, right? People have more money, they're going to be more willing to spend it. And so that's going to create more of a capitalistic, I don't know, economy.
Yes. Okay. So if I were summarizing this question, I would just say new wealth, question mark, colon, free trade, free market.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Awesome.
now you're an economics student, Colin. I'm assuming you still are.
I hope so. We haven't had class in a good 2 or 3
hope you-
months.
Always will be a good economist. What do we
So.
mean by free trade, free market? What does that mean? Freedom.
Free trade, free market.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can buy whatever you want, how much
Yeah.
you want, you know?
You
It's up
got
to
it.
you.
What determines the price of an item?
Manufacturing, distribution, how much it costs to make.
And supply and demand. If we quit demanding an item, why is gasoline
Right, price.
so much?
So much?
Yeah, why is it $1.50 or whatever it is now? $1.50.
It's not a lot. It's not cheap. Used to be $2 like 4 months ago.
Yeah, why has it gone down to $1.50?
So he asked why it went down so much.
Oh, I thought you said why it went up so much.
No, down.
Well, quarantine, people are staying home. They don't need to drive, so why do they need gas, you know?
Yeah, Allstate's giving me a rebate on my insurance. I'm going to get like $60 back because driving is down like 50%. Okay, and something on the supply side, something to do with Saudi Arabia and Vladimir Putin. What's going on with those jokers?
Oh, they're having a what? Oil war or something
Price
like
war.
that with gas prices,
Basically,
yeah.
supply war. They've got the floodgates open. They're letting way too much oil onto the market. So the value of a barrel of oil, crude oil, has really dropped low.
Yeah.
We're seeing that at the pumps. Okay.
So does OPEC still operate anymore, or they just kind of?
It's still
For a
there,
while.
but it's lost its voice. It's lost its power.
Okay.
Because 2 of its biggest members, Russia and the Saudis,
Oh, okay, that makes more
that's what
sense.
they want to do. So Nigeria
Right.
left out in the cold. Venezuela's been in trouble for years after their little dictator wannabe. He was deposed.
Yeah.
All right. So does everybody understand how to do this? Who has a question about this?
I got nothing.
Are y'all getting this?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is this assignment making you do, Molly? What does it make you do?
it's like making us kind of come up with the questions and then the answers.
Mm-hmm. It gives you the question and the answer, but what are you coming up with?
The answer to the question, like you're taking the hints and then you're kind of formulating your own answer based on.
Good. And you're making them, you're having to come up with synonyms for them. You're having to incorporate these questions and answers into your own thinking. You're in psychology, we studied about memory traces. You're creating new memory traces, new connections, new ideas. You're filing these away in your memory pockets, constructs, and you're constructing new knowledge. These just like a Lego set. These are Lego pieces, and you're trying to see how do they fit. How do they fit together? How does the question and the answer fit? What can you build? What knowledge can you build? It's kind of esoteric, but I think you can do it. I think you guys can do it. Okay. Any questions about those things that are going on in your life right now? Now, you know, probably the lecture's over it's way over. The one that started at 11. Please don't forget to go back. Please don't forget to go back and look at, let's go back to our lesson plans for this week, this past week. And we were going to go to the daily review classes link in our resources. And you're going to look at the playlist and watch the lecture on Italian and Northern Renaissance. So for fun, let's just go to our resources and let's click on, everybody follow me? Click on the daily review classes. See if I can get it loaded. There it goes. Slow for some reason. Drew, we lost your image. Got you hacking somewhere. There you go. Thank you, sir. All right. Thank y'all for being 100% attendance all week. Everybody's getting 15 points added to
Yeah, here.
Yes, sir.
Sweet. So let's see if we
I wanna try and Zoom with you guys from the golf course at some point next week.
Hey, do it. Do it. All right. Are you better long game or putting? Which are you better at?
Definitely long game. My short game isn't bad though.
I have a really bad right hook that I have to compensate by just kind of, if you see me tee, you say, hey, the fairway's that way, Cook, and you're gonna see me teeing to the left or right.
That's what Coach Gaylor does too. Jeremy's seen me hit some dingers.
I have tried to overcome this. Are y'all following where I'm going? View full playlist. Let's see if it's there yet.
I used to have an atrocious slice. You'd see the ball just go to.
All right,
Test and a test.
It's here.
Jeremy.
It's here. Don't worry about all this 8 and 9 stuff unless it's something you want on your own to just look at. Like I want to tell you one more time. I've told you so many times you're sick of hearing. This DBQ could be about feminism through the years in Europe because this is the Me Too generation now. It could be about leadership, so if any of this stuff, especially this first one, contextualizing 20th century global conflict, any point in history is the culmination of all the actions taken by a long line of leaders prior to that point in history. So this could be a good one to look at. The one on feminism could be good to look at, but that's up to you. But what you're assigned to look at is this one. So let's fire it up and see if it'll come up. All right, so there it is. It's 48 minutes long, guys. Sorry about that, but as you watch this, your assignment is to write down a couple of new terms, a couple of new ideas, couple of new questions that enter your mind about that topic, and see if you can find some new knowledge about the topic of the Italian Renaissance and the Northern Renaissance. Okay, who's got a question?
I got nothing.
Chaz has nothing.
I got nothing.
So roll call. Kat,
Good.
Kat, do you have any questions about what we're doing? You have
Not one question.
Not even one question. All right,
Not one.
Sam, question, sir. Sam, do you have a question? No. Any questions? Hey, Molly, any questions?
No, sir.
Excellent. Did you find any of the Easter eggs on Thompson Street that First Methodist hid?
Mm-mm. I didn't know they were doing that.
Maybe one out in your yard. All right, Emmy, any questions?
I'm good.
Your internet seems to be better today.
Yeah, we had it fixed, so
Okay.
it's not so glitchy, but
Awesome, awesome. Jeremy P., any questions?
I'm good.
Jamming in his upstairs room. All right. Chazzer, no questions. Izzy, questions?
Questions from me, boss.
Not good.
You're good. I'm so glad you're good. Drew, any questions on Pine Valley?
The only thing is, like, are we gonna spend time in class doing the work? Because like today, I thought I was late because I was watching that video,
Yeah.
and it just seems like a lot of work to do outside of class.
How was that video?
Oh, I caught like the last 12 minutes. It was fine. I think they switched like teachers, like narrators, because there's a couple different.
Yeah, they do that. Almost all of them have at least two teachers talking because you get really bored.
They're just going off of, I couldn't tell if it was slides or like one of the concept packets that almost like we have.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm trying to fine tune the work. It won't be quite so intense, so much to do. I think once you get into the rhythm, it's basically 3 documents that you're working with. So I would just, my advice is most of it I'm tricking you into reading by having you do the work, especially the concept pages and not the questions pages, but the concept pages and then the unit pages. They're kind of overlap, they're redundant, they repeat. So Colin, how are things on Greenwood Street?
All right. They're going.
Got to work today?
Vibe.
Yes, sir. 2:15 to 9. So
Okay.
that won't be fun.
Well, practice safe distancing from your customers as much as possible. Are
Oh,
you
yeah.
a checker?
My gloves, my face mask,
Are you a checker today?
my what?
You got
A
to
checker?
you got to run a till?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it depends if I want to. They let me
be
do my own
cautious.
thing.
Be cautious
I sure will.
and make it look like you're busy or something. All right.
Oh, 100%.
Have a great weekend. Have a wonderful Easter at home with your family. It's a weird Easter. No church, no Easter egg hunts. All those things are kind of not happening. But anyway, I'm here. Email me. Let me know how I can help you. I'm here to help.
Mr. Cook, were you planning on doing an Easter egg hunt?
My church always does. We do it at Summers Field in Barnesville. It's so much fun. There's like 200 kids there. But we do it on Palm Sunday, so it did not happen.
That's correct.
We combined with First Baptist and do it, and we didn't do it. So, but my family's always done one when there's kids around. We'd always do one. So
Colin, what were you doing?
I don't know.
Colin doesn't know.
Let's just don't worry about it, Emmy.
Yeah, I mean, why are you asking questions?
All right, guys. Y'all have a great weekend. See you
It's
Monday.
it.
Bye,
Except for
Mr.
Andy.
Cook.
Bye, everybody.